Hey, I'm Joshua Suzanne, and welcome to my store, Rags-A-Gogo. I'm located on the 14th Street between 7th and 8th Avenues here in beautiful New York City, Chelsea. And this is my store here. And what I do at Rags-A-Gogo, and I've been doing it for 24 years and 8 months of my life, and that's street fashion vintage. So I basically go out and get whatever people are asking for. For instance, a couple of years ago, someone asked me for a windbreaker from the late 80s, early 90s. And once I get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 requests for things like that, and like Bahas and things, then I know what the general public, or those that live in the city at least, the city public, is looking for as far as their next amazing vintage piece to wear, along with their new clothing. Come back this way. We got plenty of boots. Boots I've been doing the whole time. The thing that's really interesting about vintage clothing, and if you're wondering what vintage is, basically vintage clothing is anything from 20 years until 75 years old. Anything before 20 years, day 1 to 20, is called thrift. 20 years to 75 years is vintage. Anything over 75 years is going to be antique clothing. I do have a few antique pieces in my store. They're from World War II, the beginning of the advent of World War II. So those are going to be antique, anything over 75 years old. Okay, if you're wondering how to date something, like if you're sitting there saying, okay, let's look at a Levi jacket. I want one from the 80s, I want one from the 70s. How are you going to tell the difference between the two? Well, one key is right here. I'm going to pull out this jacket right here. This is from the 70s. How do I know this is from the 70s? Well, first of all, it has a small leather tag inside of it. Those are from the 70s. Another thing that gives it away, well, it's the structure of the jacket. It's a form-fitted. It's also from the late 70s because it has the pockets on the side. If this were from the early 70s, it wouldn't have the pockets. The pockets came in the late 70s. So here's a fine example of a later 70s jean jacket. I'm going to show you now something a bit different from this. So you're going to sit there and say, no, I want a jacket from the 80s. I want that bigger kind of look. Well, when you look at the racks, you're going to look at things that have lower shoulders. So here is, that's a size 40. Here's another size 40. You're going to look at the difference between these two. This has shoulders that are fitted this way. This one, look at the difference. This has much wider shoulders out. It's much wider through this way, and it's going to be more tapered down here, so that you're getting that tapered, bigger upper body. Put a big sweater underneath. That is for girls big time. London, as far as I'm concerned, is the forefront of vintage fashion. I had a girl in the store last week from London. She had on the quintessential jean jacket Levi's from the 80s, and she said that every single girl on Brick Lane, every single girl walking there has that jacket on. They're all wearing the same exact oversized Levi jean jacket. Remember, London, if you ever want to know really what's going on, keep an eye on London, because the girls there are really on it, and the guys, when it comes to vintage fashion. Over here, we have black. This is called overdye. Overdye? Why overdye? Because black is back, you guys. 20 years ago, black was everywhere. I was in the business here, right? I told you I'm in the business for 24 years, 8 months now. Boy, was I challenged with colorful vintage clothing. So I took anything and everything that you could overdye black and made it black. This is a fine example of an overdye black jacket. Black is back, you guys. Remember, Rags-A-Gogo for all your colorful and or black vintage needs. I'll have it for you. So one thing you want to know about vintage is that vintage fashion is the forefront of fashion. Vintage fashion dictates fashion in general, new fashion that is. Every single designer out there is very well aware that vintage fashion is the forefront. It's the people that are on the edge of fashion that come to places like this to find the things that they want to complete their wardrobe that they can't find new. Once enough people are wearing it, then those that make new things start seeing this, and then they start copying it. It's a copy, you guys. And those that are individuals that are really into fashion will always have a vintage piece within their wardrobe, because it's an individual piece as well. They're not dressed like everybody else, even though they are part of the scene. But if you want to fit in, if you like to fit in, but you want to be your own person, come to Rags-A-Gogo, find something here, wear it proud, walk out there, and everyone's going to think you're super cool. And that's all there is to it, because you are.